Hey guys, I feel like it's been a long time, but it's really hasn't been that long at all. Um, I don't feel like doing this, but I'm doing it. Mainly because my eye hurts. I had to take my contacts out, and I'm very, very light sensitive. So I have, yeah, like my eyes are super light sensitive, but I still came outside because I need to sit outside and be in nature. But it's been a long time, and I feel like I left you without a dope beat to step to. um, but yeah, I'm okay. There's death in my family, and I don't respond well to death. Or I'm not gonna say I don't respond well to death, but people die, and it's not like being insensitive. It's just like my brain. I'm already like I purposely don't get close to people or that close to people sometimes because of the fact that I know that one day they're gonna die if I don't die before them. And yeah, and my step granddad passed away, and um, I'm glad he finally gets rest because he got real bad sick, and that was the longest hospice time ever. But anyway, I am pretty D the Divine, DeAndrea, Aaliyah. I kind of like going by my first and middle name now. I'm always changing my personality. Actually, I'm not. I'm just ever evolving. But I have some exciting news. We are officially, the sunflower that grew in the wake of terror is now officially available on Amazon in ebook form. And the hardcover, I have to just make a couple of little tweaks for Amazon's guidelines, and then the physical copy will be available within the next, probably hopefully by the end of this week. But being that my schedule and we have a funeral and everything, it might not be till next week. But I'm super excited, even though you cannot tell. It's just been a long time coming, because when it comes to my first book, I went through a major ego death, and it was very necessary because this book is basically my my public installment of some shadow work that I have been doing really for the past 5 years. um I became a mom in February 2018, and when I became a mom, because this is basically me giving you the inspiration of the book, but when I became a mom, um I lost sense of my identity and who I was because I was already I was already in a super unhealed state. I was heavily sexually promiscuous, or I say that, well, I was very sexually promiscuous, and I was using hella weed. I was smoking hella weed, and I had had experimented with other drugs, but weed was my thing of choice, and alcohol. And once I became a mom, I tried to um when I became a mom, I tried to like get in touch with that part of myself, with who I was before I was a mom, but the person that I was before I was a mom still needed a lot of healing. And while I was pregnant with my daughter, I had already began a lot of shadow work and journaling because I had just picked up my pen and started back writing because one, I had had a baby by a married man. Um, that's a whole nother story. But I had a baby by a married man, and in my head I was like, okay, God, I fucked up. I need some help. I mean, I know, like I have a little journal entry that I was actually reading the other day where I was like, God, look, I know I fucked up. I know I was sinning and I was doing stuff that I was not supposed to be doing and not giving a fuck. But I need some help now because I have to raise a child, and I don't want my child to be fucked up. I don't want my daughter to experience the trauma that I went through, because I immediately noticed the cycle with my daughter. Because okay, me and her dad weren't in a relationship, or we were having sexual relations. It mirrors my conception, but it was totally and completely different. But after I had my daughter, I did not have the best relationship with either one of my parents at the time. And I decided to extend the olive branch with my parents and get to know them better, because one, I understood well enough that who I am is a mixture of my parents. That's not who I'm not my parents, but part of the reason why I react to certain things or have certain personality traits comes from my parents. And it was I'm finding the words. Uh, it's almost as if motherhood was the catalyst for the shit to hit the fan, with all the things that I had been avoiding and just trying to be blind to, especially when I was in spirituality, and then I went from spirituality to Christianity after facing a demon, or facing the demon of what I had been running from with the relationship between me and my father, just to find out that okay, my dad had been sexually attracted to me since I was a child, so technically he's a pedophile. And the fact that what happened between us was literally what is the word? It was the epitome of basically the archetype and the pattern of what I had realized with men. Because what I learned from my father is that I will be I'm a black woman, and because of my body type, my shape, I'm always going to be viewed as a sex object, because we live in America. We live in this world where they have over sexualized black women to the point to where psychologically it affects our community on a scale that nobody really wants to talk about or be honest about, because number one, with just my situation with me understanding my dad, because with our relationship, my dad, I was like his therapist, because he had been incarcerated for years, and I'm the child that has the degree in psychology, or was getting the degree in psychology. So there's a lot of things that we talked about that I guess that were not normal father and daughter conversations, but we had those conversations, and I thought that was cool because I so desperately wanted to know my father, wanted to be accepted by him, because number one, he was absent my whole life, and then number two, there was this whole spiel of I wasn't supposed to be his child because my mom was sleeping around with other people and all these other things that men be saying when they get caught up, because my mom was basically my dad's side chick because my father's a whore. But yeah, that's trauma. But that was the thing, and I was such a people pleaser in that time frame that I didn't say no to anything. I just wanted to be accepted, to be loved, because those are things that I never got as a child. And I'm a mom, and I'm trying to learn how to give my daughter, things that I didn't have emotionally. So finding that out, or experiencing what I experienced with my father, it I, I made up in my mind that this could either make me or break me. Either I'm gonna end up super fucked up or super healed. And I'm still healing. Um, and I've cut myself a lot of slack, and we're getting there. Because what started me writing this book is shadow work had started becoming a thing, and I ended up coming across this spiritualist who is the shadow work queen. I mean, she literally is the shadow work queen. Her name is Shania, or her name is Poca Speaks. She's really good to get a head start on your healing journey and just facing the shadows that you don't want to face. I 100% stand behind her and beside her, even though when I first initially met her, especially with telling her about, trying to heal from the situation with my dad, um, I was upset because I didn't want to hear the truth that she had to speak, but it was the truth. She's like, that man is fucked up. That shit's fucked up, and you need to get away from all those people. And here I am 5 years later, and I'm just like, okay, I've been healing, but I've been trauma bonding with people and not cutting anybody off. 11:11. Um, and it's really because it's like I have children in my mindset, because I've deprogrammed and I'm completely 180. But my mindset was like, okay, I've had children. I want to be able to use this opportunity to bridge the gap, and help heal my family through me being a mom, which some of those things worked, but most of those things didn't, because a lot of the times it was me biting my tongue and allowing the narrative to be pushed of me just being mentally unstable, um, and dramatic to appease my family. And then on top of that, I started going to church and encountering God and the Christian religion in a way that I hadn't before, because all I knew is growing up in a country church in a very small town, and I was going to somewhere out of town, um, to get spiritually fed, and it was really good food. I still sneak a meal every now and then, but really and truly, it's been so hard for me to really talk about the sunflower that grew in the wake of terror, because one, people pleasing, and then just constantly thinking about, okay, what are people going to say? Because my main thing, or my worst fear, is someone saying that, oh, you're a slut, you're a whore, and you enjoyed being fucked by your dad. Because I didn't. um Actually, I have like a lot of sexual issues that I was trying to heal with more sex, but it didn't work. Um, and now I was just completely just sat down, um, because one, I had already been sexually abused as a child by a man and a woman, both family members, or no, yeah, both of them were family members. And when one of those family members were caught, I was abused for it. I got in trouble. Um, I was I got a whooping for being molested, and that kind of, not kind of, but that fucked me up. Um, but I knew sex was something that when I got older as an adult that I would have to like. So I went through this period of hypersexuality, and I had a real bad porn addiction in 5th grade, and then again like in high school. Just, it's all about sex because everybody's having sex. I mean, I was in middle school, people were pregnant, so I mean, it's like you have to like sex. Hold on one second. I had to clean off my glasses, but it's like you have to like sex, or sex is something that, all adults enjoy. And then I'm Black, so sex is something that is very prevalent in our community, because we are the most over sexualized race group that ever existed, just being honest. So it's like, in writing this book, the first thing that I was facing was my own depression and anxiety, and just emotions that I had bottled up since childhood. So when it comes to my the first section of the book, Terror, that was me just scratching the surface of all the things and emotions that I held inside, because most people, they're like, they don't know me depressed, or they might know me a little depressed, but most of the time I'm try to be happy, energetic, or goofy to mask and hide the pain. I was very performative. Um, and even more so when I went to church, I I was worshiping in spirit and truth, but also performative because of the trauma that I had held in. Because I don't, no one, I think but nobody really. I had come to this church and I was a complete stranger, and I just wanted to help out because it was just me tapping into that inner child of, my inner child of loving Jesus in the church. Because even though I went through a lot of trauma, like, church was my safe place growing up. Church was the place that I felt loved and accepted until I started to get older, or like close to teenage stage. That's when it's just like, okay, God, are you real for real? Because the adults are trash and they're telling me that I'm a sinner and I'm shortening my days. But like you said in the Bible that, you know, so it's just like, shut up, hush, all these different things and emotions. And I internalized a lot of my abuse and a lot of things that were said of me. Like, I would go on and pretend that it was fine, but once I got irritated and frustrated, I would begin talking down on myself, saying terrible things. And with shadow work, I noticed that a lot of my emotional temperament, I get that from my mom. Like, I remember growing up and my mom would be getting frustrated about things, and she would say like, "Oh, I should just kill myself," or, you know, I should just not live. I remember her saying those things when she wasn't verbally abusing me or physically abusing me or emotionally abusing me. So it's the as a psychologist, what I personally have witnessed in my life with applying everything with the science is that it's not necessarily generational curses that we're breaking at this point. They're generational cycles, because somebody has to have sense enough to stop the cycle. And if you like me and you like what I talk about, 9 times out of 10, you're like me, and we were chosen to be the people to break the cycles. And a lot of times it's harder than what it looks, because for me, I'm in a small town, very small town. A lot of stuff is generational cycles. A lot of people here are related, but the family dynamics from family trauma and generational cycles, um, everyone's disconnected. So when it comes to my book and a lot of things that I talk about, I didn't have the support that I kind of expected, not from my church, not from my family. I kind of knew it wasn't going to come from my family, but not from my church. But at the same time, nobody really knew D. Nobody knew the pain that D carried, because I started hiding it. I started masking it, because I will never forget. I asked for prayer because I was in a suicidal um, state and just very depressed. And it just hit me out of nowhere. It was very overwhelming. And I called my first lady in confidence. And after she prayed for me, I said I would never ask for prayer again for my depression, because it was the anger and frustration that I felt, or the vibration that I felt, because I, I knew I had irritated her, or that the prayer wasn't genuine or sincere, that it was done out of obligation, but it was a lot of frustration behind it, because it was an irritation, because they didn't understand why I was sad. And I was like, I don't understand why I'm sad, but I'm sad, I need prayer. So yeah, I began to just mask how I felt or mask what I was going through and just started being of service, which eventually crashed and burned everything. I'm not going to say I crashed and burned, but shit crashed and burned. And um, that put me in a state because in writing this book, I was a church girly. I was heavy in the church, um, really in my Bible, and just hold on a second, really in my Bible and confronting myself and taking what I was learning in church and applying it to life to be better. I knew it wasn't going to be overnight, even though I kept wanting it to be overnight. I knew it wasn't going to be overnight, even though I wanted it to be, because I wanted to be worthy. I wanted to be accepted. And it got to the point where in my relationship with God, I couldn't feel his presence. I couldn't feel his spirit because of the frustration, or just like a lot of the heavy energy or the things that I wouldn't say or wasn't speaking when I was going to church. So when I began when I went on sabbatical after, because I had a car accident, I was lent a vehicle. I was already upset that I kept the vehicle longer than I wanted to keep the vehicle. And so once I was able to give the vehicle back because I was already overwhelmed and stressed out and there's already some shit going on, I was like, okay, here's y'all van. And I hauled ass. Like, I hauled ass. I dead ass hauled ass. Matter of fact, I want to say when I dropped the van off, I ran out the damn door and like literally disappeared. I did not show up until like, when did I show up? I don't think I didn't show up again to church until like the latter part of last year after the sabbatical. But even then, it was just like, yeah, this is not my place anymore because 22. Because it's so crazy how with this book, I started exposing parts of myself and just speaking how I was speaking. But at first, I was very discouraged with. I was supposed to then finish with this book, but I was very discouraged because I was looking for support from the people that I was supporting, or the people that I viewed as day twos or like my new family. I got started getting very discouraged, even just writing this, because it's like, oh, if you're not talking about God and Jesus and gratitude in your book, your gift is demonic. Even though I know the person that said that is gonna not remember that they said that. I don't even give a fuck. But I stopped because I started and stopped a lot. So I really ended up finishing my book when I went on sabbatical because I was able to focus more and really just speak freely without needing or without feeling the need to perform or speak about God just to be accepted or to see or to be seen as holy and godly. Because honestly, after being labeled the whore of Babylon, I don't even give a fuck anymore. Like as someone who had a very deep seated self hate, like being called that or the negative things that people say about me, sometimes it's hard to fight them off because there was already a false belief within myself that I was those horrible things. So with me taking a step back, it's just like, I don't even give a fuck. I'll be the whore of Babylon. After just being honest and real and getting back on my studies and not denying the knowledge that I do know. So what? I'm the whore of Babylon, okay. I guess the beast will be swallowing me up soon, but I'm totally joking. Sarcasm. Because yeah, one thing I've realized since being away from church, excuse me, and just sitting and resting in my energy and just getting myself together emotionally and rebuilding that connection with the divine source and the most high. I was people pleasing. I was trying to be accepted by people that God already told me wasn't going to accept me. I was just in denial because I'm hard headed. But it's like now, the book has been wrote. It's out. It's finally published on the website. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but it's finally published on the website or on Amazon after a year, and I still haven't properly promoted it. But this is the segue into that. So, real quick, if you don't like talking about hard stuff or you don't want to talk about trauma and the shit that you went through, I'm not the YouTube channel for you or the person for you, because we gonna talk about it, because a lot of the shit that happens to us in childhood and a lot of the trauma that we go through that end up changing us or how we behave, a lot of times we need to shadow work that shit because we're being a person. We're not even being our true selves. We're we're broadcasting ourselves through a lens of trauma and pain and hurt. And I don't want to do that. I've been through a lot of trauma. I've been through a lot of pain. I've been through a lot of hurt. But like, that is not my identity. But we're going to talk about it, though. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Because really and truly, after sitting with my book and just going through my ego deaths on my expectations that I had for it, nobody protects children or women. And my life story or the things I've experienced up to this point is a testament of that, because I told people or I told family about my father before I wrote my book, and they ignored me. When my book came out last year, now everybody's like, hold on, wait a minute, we got questions. Why didn't you tell us? Nigga, I did. Y'all didn't listen to me. Which, I mean, that's y'all track record, because nobody listened to me when I was a child. Nobody fought for me as a child. Nobody protected me as a child. And there's still a little pain there, because it's just like, damn, why don't nobody love thee? But it's okay, I love me. And it's growing every day. Like, self-care is something as simple as just making sure you wash your face when you wake up and brush your teeth, because sometimes living in depression, I wasn't doing that. Sometimes I still have my days. Transparency. But when it comes to, how do I want to put this? Basically, with my book, it's not me trying to shame anybody or just get a quick story because of the pain and trauma that I've been through. It's really shedding light on a lot of unspoken secrets that people hide within the family or hide within communities, and villainize the victims, because essentially nobody wants to talk about how there's older men, especially older black men, that groom young girls and young boys to do things. Nobody wants to talk about how the prison system has affected the mindsets and mentality of black men, to where whatever they go through behind closed doors or behind those bars, it destroys their psyche. And when they get on the outside, 29, when they get on the outside, they have hard times coping, or they just wear a mask. Because honestly and truly, had to give myself a minute, but honestly and truly, it's like nobody wants to talk about mother wounds, and how you have a lot of women and mothers, especially in the Black community, that are jealous of their daughters, or they hate their daughters and they say terrible things and make their children pay for the frustration, their emotional frustrations. Because at the end of the day, I'm the new adult, which pisses the older adults off, because the thing is, a lot of them see me or view me how I was as a child, because they were already adults when I was a child. But now that I'm an adult and you're an older adult, they don't like how our generation talks about things emotional, because the generation before us, they didn't want to be in contact with their emotions. It's a grin and bear it, shut up, sweep it up under the rug. And my generation, we like, no, fuck that. We need to talk about why Uncle Ray Ray is a pedophile. We need to talk about why TT be grooming younger men or young boys. We need, like, those things have to be talked about. And God chose me. Long story short, God chose me. And I'm honored and kind of scared, because I feel like so unsupported. But at the same time, my support is unseen. It ain't gotta be seen. But yeah, this is just a little spill. My book's available on Amazon, but I'm gonna start in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna start breaking this book down section by section, just to help it be easier to digest and read. And then also, I will have a shadow work book that I'm working on to help you unmask your trauma, not dissect mine, but a book of prompts that could possibly help you write your own your own book of poetry to heal from your trauma. But also, with that being said, book 2 is on the way. It is Ashes, Fire. Wait, no, it's Ashes, Honey, Fire, The Divine Shadow. And it's really diving deeper into some of the things that I mentioned in here, but more so focusing on love, sex, and relationships, because I realized that I had a pattern of archetype that I chose in men that solidifies my daddy issues. Because young and old, I had a thing for narcissistic, manipulative men that just want to possess me. Yeah, that was my pattern. But yeah, especially in light of just my past relationships with men between last year and this year is crazy. We're gonna make a whole separate video about that. But it's me confronting a lot of the things that I didn't want to talk about or thought was taboo, especially when it comes to sex or just relationships in general, because I love hard and I don't love these niggas at all. I learned that. Like, emotionally, I get to a point where I tap out or become unavailable or withdraw myself in relationships. And usually once I do that, it's because I've woken up and realized that this is not the relationship I need to be in. And the men get upset with me because they feel like I tricked them. And I kind of find out that I am an unintentional playgirl heartbreaker. I'm my daddy's child. I'm my parents' child. It's that dog in me. No, it's bullshit. But yeah. The Sunflower That Grew in the Wake of Terror is finally and officially available on Amazon, ebook version. And then in a couple of days or sometime next week, because I do have Death in My Family, the you can get a hard copy cover available on Amazon too. But if you do want a book signed and things of that nature, I'll come up with a I'll come up with something for that. I'm learning on the fly. I'm learning entrepreneurship on the fly. Okay? So bear with me cuz I'm getting my life together in real time because after like really and truly after everything that I experienced last year with releasing the book, I thought it was the end of the world, but it really but it was which but it wasn't, but it was. It was the end of the illusions and the facade that I had placed up or had built myself in um that gave me a pseudo feeling of being healed and stopped me from going deeper, but I started diving deeper. And just join this journey with me, okay? I'm a writer, I'm spiritual, I'll pray for you. I'm a fighter, but I don't like to fight, so I'm non-confrontational. Don't piss me off. Just don't. Um, just don't. Cause I don't like being angry. I don't like being angry. So, but anyway, we're healing. Um, Today is October 20th. I'm not sure when I'm gonna post this. I don't know if I'm gonna post this today. Probably sometime next week to give myself some. I'm trying to get back in schedules. Like every time I get situated and like get focused, something happens and I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now and I don't want to do it. And I'm actually like, bro, it's not even that bad. It's not even that hard. So, and then I'm not dressing up because sometimes I'll be trying to look cute on camera and stuff. And it's just like, no, D, just go out there. So this is me. This is me. This is real. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now. Gotta let the light shine on me. Now I know who I am. There's no way to hold it in. No more hiding who I am, who I wanna be, or whatever. This is me. But yeah, like the woman was too stunned to speak. But it's good talking to y'all. Like I said, bear with me because we finna get into some real deal conversations. I might start posting on TikTok. I don't know, but it'll mainly probably be Instagram and Facebook later on because Facebook has a lot of family members up there and just Facebook is where your haters be at. I'm trying to tell y'all. And your haters do not be the strangers. It be the people that know you or think they didn't know you or grew up with you, just saying. But that's a topic for another day. But be like my shirt, be blessed or be blessed. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Remember that you are worthy, you are valued, and you are loved, not just by me, but by the Most High, God, and the divine source. And you better be motherfucking loving yourself, okay? Like, I'm serious. If you're not loving yourself, we gonna fight. It's 2025. Look alive and love yourself wholeheartedly because ain't nobody else gonna do it. Be your authentic self in life. Cheers.